What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Jenks Island Podcast. As you can see, joining me on the island here are Ty McGee and a friendly welcome back to the one and only Hammer. John, welcome back to the podcast. This is the only podcast where you can get your takes from a washed-up Division III corner. Hammer's first episode back under the rebrand. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Week 12, recapping Week 11 a little bit with our teams being the Broncos, Packers, and Saints. So before we get into all of that, though, we're going to give a quick shout out to all of the winners leaders of our weekly pick'em. So at the top right now, we have my cousin's Micro Penix at 111 and 55, Picking Grapes at 109 and 54, and Hammer at 108 and 58, tied for third. And then you have me single-handedly at sixth with 106 and 60, and then Ty down at, I want to say he's tied for ninth with 103 wins because he's been missing a couple.
Missing a few every week.
But he's made the right picks. So, anyways, getting right into our recap of the week. Ty, your team had another great week, and then Hammer, your team it was a win, but at a cost at the same time because it wasn't what the performance that you wanted. Ty, what are your thoughts on the Broncos and Bo Nix's performance in Week 11?
Yeah, I mean, Bo Nix's performance was really, really promising. I know I talked a lot about last week, like Atlanta's defense wasn't that good, and that's still true, right? But Bo was making throws that really defied what a lot of people said about his arm strength, just really ripping balls into tight windows and seeing them ahead of time. It was just really promising. He's starting to clean up a lot of those things. Obviously, he's going to have some up and down games. We'll play some better defenses, and it'll be a little bit tougher. But that was really promising. And just good to see Denver's defense continue to roll. Nick Bonito's been a baller this year. I think he's tied for second in sacks in the NFL. That was kind of a pickup from the Von Miller trade. Got a second-round pick and took him in the second. So, that's really, really nice. And then, everyone else just continues to ball out. So, it's promising to see weapons get involved on the offense too. That we hadn't seen really step up to the plate. Vele looked really, really good. Troy Franklin gets a touchdown. Marvin Mims gets a touchdown. So really spreading the ball around all over the place, as we should have dominated against a really bad defense. So feeling good, and we're rolling into another week against another bad defense. So hopefully keep up that momentum.
Yeah, I know. Hammer's familiar with Kirk Cousins as well. So. You guys shut him down, and the Saints shut him down a couple weeks ago. So Kirk Cousins, no fly list to all three of our teams. Anyways, Hammer, your team, the Packers, came in to Week 11 hoping to continue the streak against the Bears. Ended up continuing the streak, but only due to a blocked field goal last second. What were your thoughts on your victory over the Bears?
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. I mean, you like to win by 2 or 3 scores against a team like that, playing that brand of football. But hey, division opponent, it's going to be tough. In the NFL too, you don't apologize for winning. We saw these teams, lose these one possession games. The Niners are 5-5. They've lost some games late in the fourth quarter. I was talking to a Giants fan today, and I know the Giants stink. They're 2-8, but if those one score games kind of flipped, they would be like 7-3. So, you don't apologize for winning in the NFL. Not the prettiest brand of football, coming off a bye, but hopefully it was just rust. Shake it off, and we got the Niners this week.
Yeah, I think the big story of the game was your guys' defense too, and it was a little bit shaky on the run side of the ball on defense. So we'll see if they'll be able to bounce back, against a 49ers offense that's pretty good at rushing the ball. My team, the Saints, had another good win. Obviously, Taysom Hill came out with 3 rush touchdowns, NFC Offensive Player of the Week. No one really expected it, but I think the Saints offense with Kubiak, that's kind of a focal point for them, is including Taysom, getting him and Alvin as like a double-headed monster running game, because Taysom can kind of do a little bit of everything. So continuing that down the road could be huge for us. Currently at 4-7, looking to continue the streak out of the bye week. Anyways, with that recap being done, we're getting right into Week 12. We got the Steelers taking on the Browns on Thursday Night Football. Jeez. Steelers coming out of a victory over the Ravens and possibly determining themselves as a top 5 AFC team. The Browns coming off of a tough loss against the Saints here in this one. What are your guys' thoughts? Ty, let's hear your thoughts first.
Yeah, I think this could be a really, really ugly game. And if the Steelers handle their business, it should be, right. Like the Browns are just a bad team right now. I know they've been frisky at times. Jameis didn't look bad in his first start, right? But things have just kind of been downhill for them. And the Steelers, they're a buzzsaw right now, right? They beat the Ravens, who we thought were one of the better teams in the NFL, and they still are, right? But I think the Steelers are the dominant force in that division. Even when the offense isn't clicking, their defense can still shut down guys like Derrick Henry, and they have the best kicker in the NFL at this point in time, right? Guy single-handedly won them that game. Hit 6 field goals, 1 from 57. They just find ways to win. That's the Mike Tomlin way. It always has been. And when you're, that good of a defense, that good of a special teams unit, and your offense is, serviceable, I think, you just handle business against really bad teams like this. So I think Steelers by a lot here.
Yeah, I agree with you here. What are your thoughts, Hammer?
Yeah, I mean, Cleveland kind of looks like the same old Browns that we've known, in the early 2010s. Yeah, this could be an ugly game. Maybe Cleveland's defense kind of keeps it close the first half, but yeah, I mean, the Steelers are playing really good. I think they've been a surprise. I don't think anyone saw them 8-2, and Russ playing pretty well, and Najee Harris playing well. I have him in fantasy; he's doing good. Yeah, like Ty said, I think this could be an ugly game, and the Steelers should win by 2 scores at least.
Yeah, I agree. The Steelers here, I mean, you see Jameis Winston every single week. He throws almost picks. And even last week, the Saints dropped a couple. So I think this is the week where the Steelers defense truly can actually capitalize on those moments. And I think Jameis throws maybe 2-3 picks and the Steelers get the win here. Next, we got the Chiefs taking on the Panthers. And this one, the Panthers looking to continue a little bit of a streaky moment for them. They're at 2 wins coming out of a bye. Looking to continue against the Chiefs, who just lost their first game of the year against the Bills. And I mean, Josh Allen obviously had the game-winning play for the Bills this past week. And that offense for the Chiefs, it looked a little bit stagnant in that second half. I was kind of surprised that they weren't able to do as much as they could have. And I know Xavier Worthy obviously had one play where he wasn't able to tap his feet before he went out of bounds. That was a surprising play because it's like he had no one around him. You just have to stop your feet. You're good. He wasn't able to do that. Then the Chiefs ultimately lose to the Bills, and the Panthers coming in. This is a home game, so maybe they're like, "Oh, we got a fighting chance against this team." I will say I think the Chiefs come out, beat the Panthers in this one. I don't think they're good enough to beat the Chiefs. What are your guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I just think this game will tell us a lot about the Chiefs, right? Like, they have a close game against Denver where they barely win thanks to a blocked field goal, right? And then they come out and you would think that they would kind of turn it on and play really hot. I know they're playing against Buffalo, right? But, then they look stagnant, like you said, and just another tough loss. If they come out and what they should do is beat the crap out of the Panthers, right? Because the Panthers, while they're hot and they're playing well as of late, they're still, not a very good football team. They have a long way to go. If they come out and this is a close game, I mean, even a 14-point game, this tells us a lot about the Chiefs, right? Like that they are maybe the fraudulent team that we thought them to be. I really, if I'm a Chiefs fan, I want to see them come out and win by at least 20. Just get the offense finally rolling, get D-Hop like consistently involved, get Worthy on some deep shots. I think they're getting Pacheco back this week, so really establish that run game because Kareem Hunt, he hasn't looked as good as of late. So, I'm going to go with the Chiefs, but I think, this game will tell us, will this team be a Super Bowl contender or will they just make the playoffs?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Hammer? Who you got?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what Ty said. I think the average NFL fan looks at this game and just says, all right, Chiefs win. But this is going to say a lot about the Chiefs. Like Ty said, if they win by 2-3 scores, okay, this team's good, Super Bowl contenders, this and that. And if it's an ugly game and the Panthers, scrap and the Chiefs, let's say they lose, not going to lose, but, the Chiefs win by 1 score, I think if you're a Chiefs fan, you're a little bit nervous. You're like, okay, we got to kind of pull this thing together. So, but I'm taking the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to go with the Chiefs here in this one. I'm interested to see like the odds, like how many people are really going to bet on the Panthers in this one this week. Next, we got the Vikings taking on the Bears. An interesting matchup with both quarterbacks for these teams sort of regressing over the last few weeks. We've seen it with Darnold, especially against the Jaguars. He had a little bit of a rough game. The Bears, Caleb Williams had a couple rough games, then got into the Packers game and had a solid performance. As the NFC North expert here on the pod, Hammer, what are your thoughts on this one? And which quarterback do you think is going to have a better performance?
I'm going to say Caleb Williams has the better performance. I think Darnold has not been good, and from what I saw last game, I don't watch the Bears a whole ton. I just prefer not to. But Williams, he made some plays. I mean, when the play broke down, first, second read wasn't there. He scrambled, made a play with his feet. I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be a good player in this league. They had to fix that offensive coordinator position. They're doing some different stuff, getting the ball into their playmakers' hands. I think this is gonna be a close game. I think Minnesota's gonna take it, but I think Williams has another good game, step in the right direction. I think Darnold's probably maybe has a game with like 2 picks. But I'm gonna say close game, Minnesota win.
Yeah,
but they're definitely trending down. Definitely trending down. I knew they weren't. Yeah, I mean they started 5-0. I know they weren't gonna keep that streak. They're trending down. So this could be a Bears win, but I'm gonna go Minnesota.
Okay, what are your thoughts, Ty? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, every time we've seen Caleb Williams put out a good performance, right, he's followed it up with another dud, right? And even last week, offense plays well, defense, kind of keeps the Bears in check a little bit, or excuse me, the Packers in check a little bit, but then they can't put it together on special teams and protect there at the end. The Bears just have not put it together in all 3 phases of the game thus far this year, and that's why they've been such an underwhelming team. The Vikings, although Darnold has been kind of regressing, they still have so many options. I mean, they could throw Nick Mullins out there right now and probably have a chance to win a lot of games because of the way that, Jefferson is, and Hawkinson and Aaron Jones and Jordan Addison. I just believe in the Vikings. I continuously believe in their defense. I think they're going to, even though the Bears made the offensive coordinator change, I think that Vikings defense and Brian Flores can kind of, give them hell on Sunday. So I'm going to go with the Vikings just because I trust the defense and their coaching staff way more than I trust the Bears coaching staff and just consistency with them.
Yeah, not too much to add here. I think that the Bears will make it a close game. I think the run game is going to be capable enough. We saw it last week against the Packers. I think they'll be able to at least hold them within this game against the Vikings. But I think the Vikings come out and take the win. Next, we got the Titans taking on the Texans. The Texans just took down the Cowboys in a pretty easy fashion. And you got the Titans who have shown some fight in some of their games, but they're just not looking promising. I mean, Will Levis did have a couple big moments last week, but it's kind of like boomer bust like it always is with Will Levis. So we'll see if that continues here. What are your thoughts, Ty, on this one?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the Texans will handle business just like they did last week, right? But I think the big story here is just the continued sophomore slump for CJ Stroud, right? Like in a big win, they dominate, in interception and no passing touchdowns. It's just like he just hasn't consistently been able to put it together. I know they have a bad O-line in front of him, but, they're also running the ball really well. So it's just bad pass protection, I guess. And, if they get Nico back and maybe he'll start to feel a little bit more comfortable because Nico is his guy, right? And even when they had Steph and, with Tank and all those guys, like Nico is his number one guy, right? And he's a dog. So, I think look for him to get a little bit more involved and hopefully Stroud feels a little bit more comfortable. I mean, the Titans defense at times has been a little frisky. But, like you said, Titans are just such a boomer bust team. And the Texans, they're the better football team, and they should handle business just like they did last week. So I'm going to go with the Texans.
Yeah, I agree with you here. I'm going to go with the Texans as well. I think Mixon has really had a resurgence as a running back this season. So he's been exploding every single week. So the fantasy owners that drafted him or even picked him up on like rate waivers or traded for him, however you got him, you're succeeding this year in fantasy. Hammer, what are your thoughts on this one? Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to take Houston too. I think, like you said, Mixon has been having a unbelievable season. I think Tennessee, though, is a pretty good run defense. So I think they're going to slow them down a little bit. I think this is going to be a closer game than people think. I think the line's 8.5. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go Houston.
Yeah, I think it's the right way to go in this one. And as you see in this week, like there's not a whole lot of games where it's very evenly matched up. So there's going to be only a couple of underdogs, if that. Next, we got the Lions taking on the Colts, and Anthony Richardson came out last week, did lead them to the win over the Jets, but again, it's the Jets. This year, they have just sucked in all facets of the game. They just fired their GM, which was a surprising move. Hammer, do you think that was a little bit of Aaron Rodgers coming in and saying you got to fire the GM? What do you think was up with that one?
I don't know. I mean, from the reports, it seems like Woody's been he's been the one that's taking the ayahuasca in New York. Like he's getting a little frisky. He's making some crazy decisions. I saw a report that he had a conversation with the coaches. Maybe he wanted to sit Rodgers. I think September 30th or something. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is really Rodgers. I don't know how much say he has, but I don't know.
That the whole team franchise, everything's been a mess from ownership down. So we'll see if they're able to turn that around. But the Colts, they did get a win with Anthony Richardson in his first game back as a starter. But I think that the Lions come out. They've been a buzzsaw. They've been killing everyone in their path, and I think it continues this week. And I just think they put their feet on their throats and stomp on them. I think the Lions crushed the Colts in this one. Hammer, what are your thoughts?
They're due for a loss, but I'm going to take the Lions. This isn't the week, but it's coming. It's coming.
Okay. Right. Okay. We'll keep an eye out. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's a little bit of Lions hate coming through. I like
a little bit.
Anyways, Ty, who you got?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, the Jets thing, right? Denver is the team that sent them spiraling. Ever since then, we've seen two reports. The first was, that Saleh, they were out on Saleh and they were going to fire him after that. And now, after September 30th, right, or whatever, they wanted to bench Rodgers. Well, that was after the Denver game. So, good to see Denver sending the Jets in a spiral a bit. But, yeah, I mean, this is, pretty easy, right? Detroit, they're so dominant. Anthony Richardson, he's pretty much a similar story as Caleb Williams, right? Has a really good game, and then he follows it up with an absolute dud. I just don't think that, the Colts are a good enough team to hang with, some of the big dogs. So I'm going to go with the Lions.
Yeah, I agree with you here.
I got a quick question. Right now, who do you think is the favorite to be the Jets head coach in 2025? Like, it's wild. Like, I just don't know who wants that job. With Rodgers for a year and everything, I don't know.
You don't even know if you're going to have Rodgers, right? He might be in the out, so
he might.
They have a lot of promising.
He says weapons. He wants to play. He says he wants to play. I don't know if the Jets are going to want him back. If he does come back, you have to draft a quarterback in the first round, right? You have to. I mean,
he might pick his guy, right? Like it might be just another former friend.
Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy.
Not out of the book.
It might.
He knows how to deal with crazy media in Dallas, so that's.
I know.
He's looking to get fired there, so.
Yeah. Who knows what's going to happen with the Jets team? It's a mess. Good question, Hammer. Right? McCarthy, yeah, McCarthy, not a bad mix with.
I just, I think the favorite's Ben Johnson. I don't want to get too, we're picking Week 12 games, Hammer, but I'm just saying. I mean, Ben Johnson's the guy. He's not going to the Jets.
Yeah,
I'm just thinking. I mean, what sucker goes to the Jets?
It's honestly, offensive too at this point, right? Like they tried the defensive thing, and it just didn't work out.
You got to get the young offensive guide. You get a college guide. I don't know.
And the defensive-minded thing, the crazy thing is, like Saleh, ever since he left, the defense has gone to trash, and they've just regressed in every single position on the team. So it's been bad for the Jets. Next, we got the Patriots and the Dolphins, familiar to the Jets. Both of these teams having like bad records, but having some frisky moments and looking competitive at times. I mean, Drake May has had great performances, and that's huge for the Patriots fans out there. They have a lot of excitement for the upcoming seasons, not this season, but he's still learning, developing, things like that. The Dolphins looking to come back and make it into the playoff contention after starting off really horribly and Tua getting injured, everything like that. But Tua's back. The offense is fully healthy, and they're starting to get the weapons back involved. In this one, I'm going to go the Dolphins here. I'm not going to add too much to it. Let you guys make your picks as well. But I think the Dolphins have enough, and their defense has been playing pretty well to slow down Drake May and this Patriots team without too many weapons. What are your thoughts, Ty?
Yeah, I think this will be a frisky, close game because Drake is like you said, he's shown a lot of promise this year. Had a lot of good performances despite the talent around him. Mm-hmm. Miami, they're just not what the team of past Miami has been, right? The offense is just not clicking. Jalen Waddle has not been involved at all this year. Even Tyreek's involvement has been shaky. He gets like a 1-yard touchdown. They really haven't had the explosive play with Tyreek in quite some time. And then on the flip side, like Jalen Ramsey's allowing like the highest passer rating he's ever allowed in his career. So like, they're really good on paper, but they're not performing well. So I think, I'm going to go with Miami as well, but I think it's a lot closer, and I just would not be shocked at all if the Patriots pulled this off.
Hammy, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with Miami too. I think it's a close game. I really like Drake May. I think he's done a lot with not a whole lot. They have no weapons on that team. But yeah, Miami, I think they're what, 2 straight now? They're gonna go make it 3 straight. They got Tua back. They're feeling themselves. At home division game, against the team that you're just way better than on paper and probably coaching wise too. So I'm gonna go with Miami.
Yeah, I think Miami's actually, I think, one win because 2 weeks ago was Thursday Night Football, right, against the Rams.
No, they beat the
lost.
Rams.
They beat the Rams?
They beat the Rams and they beat the Raiders. Yeah.
I had it flip-flopped. Anyways, next we got the Bucs taking on the Giants, and in this one, Tommy DeVito, the Paisano, looking to make his return. Drew Lock got screwed out of a spot here, and on this one, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on that situation first. Like, what do you guys think about Drew Lock just getting left behind, Tommy DeVito leaping over him? Do you guys think that's fair, unfair? What do you think about that?
This organization is just so unserious. Like Tim Boyle, they bring him up, and now he's the third string quarterback, and they're paying $40 million to a guy to be your fourth string quarterback. Like, he might be doing scout team, safety. I don't even know what he's doing at this point, right? Probably not. He's getting, I don't even know what reps he's getting. So it's just, I would have went with Locke if you were a serious organization. And I mean, you're not trying to win, right? DeVito, Locke, it doesn't matter, but you paid a guy $4 million in the offseason to be your backup quarterback. And then you go with DeVito anyways. It's just you just shouldn't have signed Locke. It makes no sense. I think the locker room's pissed off. Drew Lock's pissed off. So not only did you make a move that confuses the media and confuses, the fans, then you're just pissing off the locker room too. It's just, I would have went with Locke. I mean, I like, Locke. He's feisty and he gives you a chance, but just weird move.
Yeah, no, I agree. What are your thoughts, Hammer?
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are a mess. I mean, I think it's funny because I think you think back to the Hard Knocks offseason and Drew Lock got signed and he came in so happy, man, this could be my spot because this kid Daniel Jones stinks and I'm gonna get some reps, this and that. But yeah, they're a mess. They're shot. They put DeVito in for comedy. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, they should have never paid Daniel Jones.
I think, yeah, no,
everyone knew that was a bad move.
I think when it happened, when the moment it happened, I think we were all texting the fantasy group chat. We were like, "KO, you guys are screwed." There's no way that they succeed with that salary, and then not paying Saquon Barkley in this offseason because you want to keep Daniel Jones and he's more important to the team. And I think it just shows that this culture of this Giants team is just in turmoil. It's going down. Dable is going to try to win his job over, but I think they're tanking. I think they have no plans of winning a game the rest of the season. I don't see them really winning a game the rest of the season. I'm not sure if they have the Panthers or Jaguars, something like that. Maybe they'll win that.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, Dable's coaching for his job, but I mean, ownership and everyone wants them to tank.
Yeah.
So I just don't know. I guess we're gonna see how it's gonna work out, but Dable's gonna be out, right?
I think he's safe. I think they like him enough. He just won Coach of the Year a year or two ago, right? I think they have the understanding that, damn, we screwed up, right? He's not the one that paid Daniel Jones. He's not the one that drafted him. I think they'll give him a chance with a young guy, especially, with Neighbors and Wandale and Tyrone Tracy kind of hitting. Yeah. Give him a chance with a young quarterback. I mean, we saw he was there when Josh Allen was early on with the Bills. So, he was a part of that turnaround, and give him another guy with some talent, unlike Daniel Jones, and maybe have a chance.
I think they got to get rid of the GM. I like Dable too. I hear nothing but good things about Dable. I live in, I'm 20 minutes away from MetLife in the city. So I coach football and this and that. And I know people that know them and this and that. And they say Dable's the man. He's cool and everything. They say Joe Shane is a creep. Is weird. That's what I've heard on the streets of New Jersey. Yeah.
The streets of New Jersey.
Don't tell them where I live, but all right, it's fine.
It's a wide count. Anyways, I'll cut it, Hammer. Don't worry. Right. Hammer lives in Bleep, New Jersey.
Might as well put my address too.
All right. Anyways,
I'm gonna go with the Bucs here. The 2 Giants fans that listen.
I think we're.
Be KO.
KO comes in.
KO can have my address. You can tell him I said that.
All right, I'm gonna end the discussion over this game. I think we're all picking the Bucs. I don't think we have to add too much. The Giants, you suck. Nothing else to add. Next, we got the Cowboys taking on the Commies. The Cowboys and Cooper Rush, their offense still struggling. And obviously, Ty and I talked a little about Jonathan Mingo a little bit last week, being a target that you newly acquired, and he hasn't done anything. And you see his targets last week on prime time, and everything was like a missed throw to him. So it didn't really matter, even if he could have caught the ball or not. We don't know. The Commies looking to come back after a defeat by the Eagles, and I think this team has what it takes to beat this Cowboys defense alone with just the running game. I think they just can run the ball down their throat, like the Texans probably could have done as well, but the Texans got away from it. But I'm gonna go the Commies here in this one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think B-Rob should really have a day. Him and Eckler can kind of ball out. We talked about this week after week with Dallas, is just how bad that their run defense is. They're going to be without Jake Ferguson, so they're even less weapons for Cooper Rush. It's just not – this is like a Dan Quinn revenge game, I think. There's a lot of guys on that defense that were Dallas guys. Dante Fowler Jr., it was one of them who's really balling out. I think he has 8.5 sacks this year. So I think, this is just more than anything. I think obviously it's a statement game for the Commanders to kind of bounce back, but I think it's a big one for Dan Quinn. I think that defense will probably wreak some havoc. So obviously I'm going with the Commies here, but
yeah, I think this game's going to be ugly. I think they're going to run all over them at home in front of those Commander fans having the time of their lives this year. Yeah, I think the Commanders are going to kill them.
Yeah, Commies coming alive in FedEx Field where sewage pipes are breaking left and right. It's actually kind of funny. The stadium's surviving with all these fans jumping around, actually getting excited during the games. Next, we got the Broncos. Ty, your Broncos, Bo leaving, taking on the Raiders here in this one. I know this is a huge game for you guys. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, huge just in the sense that we need to keep winning to kind of grow that lead in the wild card. Because if Indy loses, right, they're the next team behind us. So just want to keep spreading ourselves from everyone else. But we already played this team week 5, and I think the final score was 18-34, right? And that game, 10 of those points were early on when that game looked like, okay, maybe this is competitive, and then Pat Surtain took 100 the other way, and that was the rest of the game, right? I think we scored 31 unanswered or something like that. So, and this Denver team from week 5 to now, simply because of Bo Nix, the way that he's playing is they're levels above where they were in week 5. So they should come out and dominate again like they have in the past week, and then against the Saints and against the Panthers and teams like that. This should be another dominant win. They've shown that they can handle their food. So I think another probably they score 30 and they hold the Raiders, who are an even worse team than they were in week 5, to probably 10 or less. But it should be bad is my assumption here.
Yeah, I agree. What are your thoughts, Hammer?
Yeah, I think so too. Denver's a really fun team to watch. The first time I watched them really this year was against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, and I'm watching my game, and every time I looked back, I just see Mahomes on the ground and just getting 5 dudes in his face. Denver's playing with a lot of energy. The defense is playing good. Yeah, they're a fun team. Bo Nix, offense rookie of the year to watch. He's coming for you, Daniels. Never know. And then the Raiders. I mean, they could be looking for a new head coach next year. Yeah, I think Denver's probably going to win by 2-3 scores.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Denver is going to blow out the Raiders here in this one. I will say, Ty and I were talking a little bit about it before we started recording, and I think Antonio Pierce, everyone's coming for his head this season just based on the performance. But with this offense, with the team that they have and the quarterback, room on the team, there's not much success that's bound to happen, even no matter who the coach is. I would say they're in a worse spot than the Giants, and you see Dable not really getting any a lot of heat for Dable's job. I think Antonio Pierce, I think they'll probably try to look for other coaches, but I'm not 100%. I think it kind of depends on how that culture, how the locker room feels, things like that.
I think a lot of that head coaching position is just depending on if they're in a position to pick Shadur. What does Deion Sanders want? Does he like Antonio Pierce because he was another player coach? Or does he want, a guy like maybe Ben Johnson wants to come in, right? I don't think Ben will because it's kind of a mess of an organization, and Ben kind of can pick wherever he wants to go. But again, one of those young offensive minds, it really is just dependent on, I think, if they're in the position to pick Shooter or Sanders, what does Dion want from there? Because they have a lot of power with them.
Yeah. Could you imagine? I mean, theoretically, wherever Shooter goes, maybe Dion says, "Hey, I would like to coach too," and you get to interview. Maybe, I mean, imagine Dion coming into Las Vegas and being the head coach with Shadur's son. Like the crowds that would come out for that from Las Vegas would be absolutely insane. So, like money wise, it would be amazing for the Raiders. But I don't know. What are your thoughts, Hammer?
I mean, the two teams. I think the Sanders could be a package deal. The two teams that would be wild is, of course, the Raiders and the Giants. New York and Vegas. It would be nuts.
Two fan bases that
they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't make it. But
they would.
The city would burn. Both cities. Yeah, but
yeah, wild. Vegas especially a lot of gambling, drunks, like just not pretty. Anyways, we went a little bit off track. I'm gonna pick the Broncos here in this one. Sorry, I took us off track with that one.
Stop talking about gambling.
Yeah. Next we got the 49ers taking on Hammer's Green Bay Packers, the Cheeseheads. Hammer's big return to Lambeau for a game here in this one. Last time he was there, I don't know if you went to. I don't think he went to a game last year, but last time you saw this matchup was the 49ers Packers playoff game. Freezing cold, punt block in the end zone. Packers end up losing. I'm sitting there in the dorm, knowing Hammer's there. I'm like, wow, this guy froze his ass off in the tundra, and they lost. And I just
that walk back to the hotel, which was a mile away from the stadium, was the most just like, I was just like rethinking my life. Just lost a playoff game. It's like -10 out. I'm walking a mile. I'm slipping. I'm like 10 yards. I'm like 20 yards ahead of my family. Like I'm like speeding up to the hotel. Let's get on the plane. Let's get out of here. But yeah, I'm back. We're back. It's a couple of years later. We got Jordan Love leading the team now. I'm excited to go to the game. Got good seats, 50-yard line, 30 rows up. Spend a lot of money. Because if you're gonna go, right? Let's go. I mean, you gotta live it up.
Yeah.
Thoughts on the game though? San Fran's beat up. I don't know if Bosa's gonna go. Apparently, Brock Purdy didn't throw at all today at practice. He's dealing with elbow pain. They were banged up, but I mean, they're just the Niners. They're good. I know they're only 5-5, but like they can play and they can beat anyone. They can beat us. That's all they've done when we've played each other. I'm gonna go Green Bay at home. They're the healthy team. I think they're playing better football right now. They know how to close games. But you never really know with San Fran. You just don't. So yeah, I'm gonna go Green Bay though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you here. I'm gonna go Green Bay as well. I think the 49ers, it just depends on whenever they get hot, they're gonna go on a streak. So if they win this one, maybe this could be the start of it and they'll just go on a streak into the playoffs. But I think it's bound to happen at some point soon. CMC being back is huge for the offense. Like you said, Brock Purdy not throwing, that does hurt them. And obviously, if Bosa's out, that is a little bit of a harm for them as well. And I think the Packers' offense, run game, and I think Jordan Love just needs to clean up the interceptions, and they can win this one. Ty, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think even if San Fran is healthy, right there, or they're playing rather, their whole team is banged up. Like Kittle was out, and Bosa was hurt, and Trent Williams was hurt, and Brock Purdy, and this guy and that guy. The whole team is banged up. It's gonna be a little bit harder in like a cold weather game up in Green Bay rather than playing out in San Fran. So I think that probably plays a pretty big factor in this game. Do they even make it out healthy? And it's just good to see, Christian Watson getting more and more involved. Last week, big game for him on my fantasy team. So, love to see him involved. But he's just an explosive, big body guy that anytime he's involved in the game, he makes things happen. So I'm also going with Green Bay here just because I think they can finally, start to get some things rolling on offense. With him and Josh Jacobs and some of the other guys they got going. So
yeah, my one fantasy advice, don't draft a Packer receiver. Just don't. It's just anyone can have a big game. I love Watson. He's a game breaker, but I don't know. You're never going to hear from him probably in a month. It's going to be Reed, Dubs, Kraft. Just get Jacobs and Love. Receivers, stay away. They could be a bench piece and yeah.
Yeah, no, that you stole the words right from my mouth. That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's just I have like two of them, and I just don't even know who to play.
Yeah, you can't. Every week you're like this guy, and then you'll end up like the guy that you benched scored 20. The guy who started scored 2. So it's a rough, but the offense is doing well. So that's all that matters for the real fans, the Packers fans. Next, we got the Cardinals taking on the Seahawks, a huge divisional matchup for this game. And the Cardinals looking to continue their streak, kind of establish a little bit of a boundary between them and the other teams in the NFC West. And I think the Seahawks looking to continue their streak after beating the 49ers for the first time in a long time under Geno Smith, with Geno Smith at quarterback. The Cardinals, just their offense has been clicking on all cylinders. Kyler Murray's been having, I don't want to say he's like in the MVP conversation, but he's had a very, very good season for a quarterback that a lot of people put down over the last couple of seasons and then just didn't really expect much from this season. He's started to explode. The Seahawks really getting JSN involved here, and that is huge for them. JSN last week, I think he had another game with almost 10 targets, if he didn't have more than 10 targets. And that's the key for them. If you get JSN and DK both involved at the same time, while still having Kenneth Walker involved in the run game, this offense can actually be somewhat good. And I think that's kind of the key for them. So in this one, they're at home. It's going to be a tough game for the Cardinals to come out and win. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals have been streaky all year long. Ty and I've been discussing it every single week with the Cardinals just being like, what the hell are we going to get from this week? But I think the Cardinals can stay hot, beat the Seahawks in Seattle, and really establish themselves as the NFC West front runner. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this is Arizona Cardinals Believer podcast. You know, week in and week out, we just believe in what this team can do. Yeah. Kyler's playing really well. It's been promising to see Benson get a little bit more involved in the run game too. Between him and Connor, right? That's a nice 1-2 punch. And you know, if they could just, the biggest thing for them is if they can get Marvin consistently involved. Like he is like one game he goes crazy, next game it's like we're throwing to Michael Wilson and Trey McBride the whole game. And Trey McBride's a great tight end, but it's just like you drafted a guy this high, right? You kind of got to just continue to get him involved because he, you know, he's a game wrecker and he can make things happen and they win when he's, you know, playing well. Seattle, they're just a confusing team. Like, I mean, they beat, you know, they beat the 49ers and they, you know, fight back against the Lions and then just lose against teams that they shouldn't. And it's just, I never know what I'm going to get with them. And I cannot choose them until I can, you know, believe that, you know, they can be a consistent team. So I'm going to go with Arizona too.
Hammer, what do you think?
I mean, we just picked 10 games, all the same. You guys are these big believers in Arizona. I have Arizona picked, but now I feel like I got to be the boogeyman and just go Seattle.
I like it.
12th man, and I didn't write back. I'm going to go Seattle.
Okay, Hammer quoting Gino. Okay, I see it. I don't mind it. I think the Red Sea comes in and takes over Seattle. That's a bold prediction right there. But I like it. Splitting the games, first game.
What do you mean the Red Sea? You mean like fans?
Not the Seattle. Red Sea Cardinals. The Bills did it. Bills Mafia did it. I think the Red Sea could do it too.
Bills a little different than the Cardinals, but yeah. All right.
No, the home field advantage for the Seahawks has gone down. With the win over the 49ers, obviously that might have changed a little bit. They might be a little bit hot.
Hey, everyone's 5-5 in that division except for Arizona, who's 6-4, so exactly. It's wide open. But yeah, I'll go Seattle to make it a little interesting, I guess.
I like it. Anyways, going from two birds to another, we got the Eagles taking on the Rams. And on Sunday Night Football, the Rams looking to stay hot after beating the Patriots. Matthew Stafford throwing for 4 touchdowns, having a good performance. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp. Kyren Williams didn't get involved, which was kind of upsetting for me as a fantasy owner of his. The Eagles on the other side, Saquon Barkley almost single-handedly killed the Commanders. You obviously had Jalen Hurts steal one of his touchdowns again with a tush push, which is just horrific for all the fantasy fans out there. And this one, I'm going to go the Rams here just to beat the Eagles at home in Los Angeles. I think the Rams have been hot. I think the Rams offense has been playing really well. And I think their young rookie defensive linemen that we've been talking about all year are going to make a good statement here in this one. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk are going to have a good games. I'm going to go with the Rams here. What are you guys' thoughts? Hammer, what do you think?
I'm going Philly. I think Philly's playing well. I don't think the Rams really match up that well against the Eagles. I don't think a lot of teams do because Philly's pretty good, team on paper. Big physical. They're going to run the football, take their shots. It's going to be a home game too for them. You know, the Rams don't have any fans. And I'm going with the Eagles.
All right, not too much to say. What are your thoughts, Ty?
Thank you for taking the Rams, because now I can climb on you in the leaderboards a little bit. The Rams are frisky, and they could definitely make this a game because they have so many weapons. And those young guys that you talked about on defense have been game wreckers. But Philly is just, even if Jalen Hurts plays like shit, and he has, he has almost given away games against teams like Jacksonville, and just with stupid bonehead plays, but Saquon continues to carry this team, right? Like, he would maybe be in the MVP conversation if we weren't pushing on Jalen Hurts' ass every time that we get to the 1 yard line. He'd probably have like 30 touchdowns. So, it's Saquon's carrying this team. AJ Brown, has been really, really playing well too. So between the two of them, we don't even have to mention like Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert, right? They have other weapons who haven't been as involved as, we've seen in the past, but AJ Brown and Saquon have just been so dominant. It's hard to go against, a team that, just has two juggernauts like that. So I'm going to go with the Eagles as well.
Yeah, I don't mind it. Give me a little bit of a difference here. And I think I had to pick a little bit of an underdog because I was looking at the slate and I needed one. And the Rams were the ones that my gut resonated with a little bit. Anyways, going right into Monday Night Football. This is a big game for the AFC playoff seeding. So we got the Ravens taking on the Chargers. The Chargers and Jim Harbaugh have just been balling out. I mean, Justin Herbert looks like another person out there with Harbaugh just behind him. Literally every 2 seconds. I talked about this with Ty last week, just going, I believe in you, Herb. I believe in you. Good pass, Herb. What a boy. Attaboy, Herb. Just constantly chirping in his ear, just like confidence. And I guess that's working for Herbert. And I think that's good to see for all the Chargers fans out there. Quentin Johnston has had a big impact as well in the red zone. On the other side, the Ravens obviously lose to the Steelers after not allowing an offensive touchdown. And Justin Tucker is probably a big reason they lost. I mean, he missed 2 field goals. And we usually talk about Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker is being just sure-footed and not missing anything. And this year it's been the opposite. He's been missing left and right. And that's a bit of a struggle point for the Ravens. And I think this Chargers defense is good enough to slow down Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, who hasn't really been doing much the last couple weeks anyways. So for that reason, I'm going to pick the Los Angeles Chargers coming in, winning at home, and continuing their streak. After starting off, I think they were 3-3, and now they're 7-3. So getting to a 5-game win streak with this one would be huge. What are your guys' thoughts? Ty, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that win streak, ends this week. I just don't believe in the Chargers. They just have not been able to hold on to leads. Like, games, they go up, and then the second half, it's like all of a sudden this team's fighting back. Like it happened with Denver early on. It happened last week with the Bengals, and good offenses, but at the time Denver wasn't as good as they are now. The Bengals, they're like a 4-win team right now. Even if they have a lot of weapons on paper, right? It's just their defense plays so well in the first half, and their offense will click, and they'll have everything going, and then all of a sudden, this team flips. And I think Baltimore, there's no way that they play this bad, as bad as they did last week, right? They have to bounce back. Derrick Henry should be on the field every single play. I don't know why he was not out there again, touches in the fourth quarter at all. He was not there on the 2-point conversion. He was sitting on the bench. It's just confusing, but I think Harbaugh is a smart enough. Well, I guess John Harbaugh is a smart enough coach.
Yeah,
the battle of the Harbaughs. Yes, I think John Harbaugh is a smart enough coach that he's going to tell Todd Monken to get Derrick Henry's ass into the game and give him 30 touches. So, it's just if they can get him involved, I think he's such a powerhouse that even if the Chargers defense is really, really good, he could cause some havoc for them. Maybe get Zay Flowers a little bit more involved too, because we saw, the receivers for Cincy lit the Chargers up in the second half. So again, I'm a Chargers hater. I don't believe in them at all. It's probably divisional bias, but I just also have seen them not be able to hang on to things. Maybe they win at the end of the game, but it's just when you play good teams like the Ravens, that type of football is not going to work out well for you. So I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Ham, what do you think?
Yeah, like Jenks said, this is a big game for the AFC and a big game for their households between John and Jim. I get what you're saying with the Chargers kind of being fluky and not being able to kind of finish and hold on to leads. But I don't know, the Ravens, to me, have been a little weird with, last week's loss. They lost to Cleveland. Earlier in the season, they lost to the Raiders. They were a little weird too. That game with, Cincinnati. I wouldn't even say that game. Just a high-scoring game, whatever. They won. But I'm going to go with the Chargers. I think they're playing really good football. I think Herbert's awesome. Working with the weapons that he has. And yeah, I'm going to go with Jim. I like football and people that like football like me. So I'm going to go with that guy. I love what he's doing. I love his message to the team. I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
He's got good coach tape. You're watching him, learning from him as a coach, Hammer. Yeah,
Of course.
yeah. Always gotta better yourself, and he's a good guy to learn from. Ty definitely does not love that you like Herbert though. Ty's not a big Herbert believer. We had a little bit.
Huh?
I think he's got all the talent in the world, but I just don't think he consistently puts it together. I mean, there was a point the point in time in the season where he was averaging like 130 passing yards a game.
Yeah.
I mean, that's maybe not how you don't need to win that way with Jim Harbaugh, right? You don't have to throw 300 touchdowns because he's got a good defense with Minter and they have a good run game, with Dobbins and Edwards. But it's just like, I mean, I don't know. It's a pedestrian.
But his weapons too. I mean, Ladd's been good. I mean, Quentin Johnson, we know, is kind of up and down. I mean,
he hasn't struggled with the drops though, like he did last year, right?
Yeah.
So he's touching the ball when he's given the ball. It's just, I don't know. It's
yeah, I get it though.
Even games when Dobbins has been not as hot, they've won games because of their defense. I don't think they've won a game because of Herbert, is what I'll say.
Okay. Yeah, no, I don't. I think,
but I think that's good too. I think that's impressive, right? And that's good because that makes you hopeful. Like, hey, we haven't even touched. Like, we're 7-3 right now, and we haven't even played our best brand of football. Like, our best player hasn't even really kind of taken off yet, which is scary.
I will say last week I think Herbert put them in the position to win, and then in that second half, like you said, Ty, they did start to lose a little bit. Like they lost that momentum a little bit. He did have a couple of really good throws to put him in that position in the first place, though. But like you said, I will mention this. I do think there's a little bit of that Broncos fan bias. Similar kind of like Packers Vikings. I don't know if the rivalry is as
I hate the Vikings. I hope they lose every game.
Yeah, I feel like Ty kind of feels like that, and then obviously the Chiefs would be like the Bears for the Broncos there. Yeah. But anyways, that'll do it for our Week 12 picks. Teams on bye: the Falcons, Bills, Bengals, Jaguars, Saints, and Jets. Big bye week for a lot of teams, and it's hurting a lot of fantasy owners out there. I know that. What, Hammer? What did you guys say? Will
the Jets win the bye?
No, they already lost it. It's 2 days into the bye and they've already lost, so it's not looking good. Maybe they got a second half comeback next week, but I don't. It's not likely. Anyways, closing thoughts. This is like the most out of left field conversation about to come up on the Jenks Island podcast. So if anyone's actually stayed here this long, this is coming from nowhere. But Pat McAfee show, I'm listening to it today, or it was yesterday, and I'm listening to like the end of the episode, and they start getting into the wildest conversation in the world of when you're at a friend's house, when you take a shit, do you flush and then wipe, or do you wipe and just flush it all at once? That's the question Pat McAfee and all of them were discussing yesterday on the podcast, and I got to know what you guys think. What are you guys doing?
Are you wipe and flush?
What? Wipe then flush, or what? Or flush then wipe?
Flush then wipe. I mean, what do you do at home, right? A home game and away game, you're going to start playing differently? We're going to start calling different plays in an away game? No, it's same playbook, baby.
Okay. Football reference there was crazy, but yeah, no, I got to agree with you. You got to get the courtesy. It's a courtesy. Yeah, it's too much trust in this drainage. Too much trust. I know Hammer might have done this.
No, you're saying flush first? Whoa.
No. I'm saying, wait. Yeah, you take a shit, you flush, and then you wipe again.
No, brother, what are you doing? Trust the drainage.
Too much trust in the pipes.
Trust the plumbers. They know what they're doing.
I don't want to pull a Rizzy and clog.
I'm going. I would go with the one because the two makes it weird at a friend's house. Like I don't know.
Right, they hear it flush, and
I'm just thinking of like my friends, like mom or dad. Like, what's that guy doing in there?
He flushed already. Now he's flushing.
Yeah,
he's blowing it up.
Okay. But like at the same time, what if you clog it? You clog the
Use
toilet.
the
That's
plunger,
weirder.
bro. I got a plunger. Every family's got a plunger.
Yeah, it's time to go to work. Like,
Yeah, get to pumping, brother.
Okay. To tie it into their other conversation, if the toilet is clogged and there's no plunger, what do you do?
Tell your friend. You gotta tell your friend. Don't tell the parents.
yeah, that's when you pack it in, and that's when you send that text message to your buddy who's like sitting in the basement. Dude, you gotta come up. We got a problem.
Okay. Man of little words. I like it,
yeah.
Hammer. I like it. Anyways, way off topic of football. I have a bye week. I don't have enough to talk about with the Saints. That was my little spurt of comedy going into the pod. What do you guys think about your team's closing thoughts for you guys?
I'm just gonna hammer what Hammer said. Bo Nix, offensive rookie of the year. He's really coming into his own. If you just look at the stats in the last 8 weeks, discount the first 2 weeks when he was really trying to get things under his belt, he is outperforming Jaden Daniels, and especially within the last 4 weeks. I mean, he's been dominant. I mean, winning Offensive Player of the Week for the entire NFL, not even just rookies. I think he's gonna, at the end of the day, win Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Bold, but I like it. I think it's a good.
But I think I don't know the Commanders and the Broncos exact schedule, but I looked at Denver's. I think it's realistic too, looking at their opponents. I don't think they play anyone that crazy, right? I mean, they played Kansas City twice already, right?
They play Kansas City once more, and they play the Chargers once more. So 2 good defenses, but they play the Bengals, whose defense is Swiss cheese. So.
Yeah, but they're gonna have he's gonna have his chances because of their games.
Yeah.
And then for the Packers, I would just say go beat the Niners, something that we haven't done really recently. So go beat them. They took you out of the dance last year. So, for a team that's giving you problems in January these past couple of years, you got a good shot this weekend to go make sure, they're not playing in January. So you don't have to worry about them. So I think that's the goal for Green Bay. I think Jordan Love is gonna have a good game. I was listening to his interview by his locker after practice today. He's like, yeah, I watched that game many, many times during the offseason. Xavier McKinney was like, I wasn't even on the team, but first thing when I walked into the building in the offseason, they were talking about the Niners. Like, how are we going to beat them? We got to get past this team. It's the hump. It's in front of them at home. And hopefully they can go get that win.
Yeah, don't make Hammer question his life twice. You can't do that to him.
Come on. I don't want to be 0-2 at Lambeau. Then I can't even go anymore.
Yeah, you'd be banned. Packers have to ban you. Anyways,
I know.
That'll do it for our Week 12 episode. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in, especially if you tuned it in all the way through where we talked about flushing the toilet. That was a little bit of a left field conversation, but it had to be done. Pat McAfee talked about it, so can we. Anyways, good seeing you guys. Good talking. Hammer, welcome back to the pod. And we will see you guys next week. Make sure to check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Jenks Island. And our podcast is available wherever you guys get your podcasts. So make sure to share it with friends. Anyways, we'll see you guys next week.